Bé, amb permís de tots vosaltres, em passaré a l'anglès, que és l'idioma en què havíem quedat que faria la xerrada. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, before we get started, I would like to thank you very much, the organization, because being part of this event is really an honor. It's a huge event, and I'm a really supporter and follower of the TED Talks. For the next 10 minutes, we're going to be talking about music, and more precisely about music education, which is a major concern throughout my career since I began to teach. Now, how do we transfer, or how do we transmit musical knowledge? Or perhaps more important, in which order we do so, considering that there are so many aspects and so many material, right? We have harmony, ear training, improvisation, reading, writing down music. In which order we do that? Well, I'm going to share my point of view with all of you about that matter. Some time ago, I once had a teacher, which is Horacio Fumero. He's a great double bass player, who told us we perceive music through our ears, not through our eyes. Okay? And I think we can trust his words because he has been playing a lot with blind musicians, such as the great late Tete Montoliu, or the historic saxophone player Ronald Kirk, or maybe the Ignasi Terrassa, another pianist from Barcelona who is blind. So I think we can trust him. And during my exposition, I'll be comparing on how do we learn a spoken language and how do we learn music, which is another language. I think we all agree that we can write it down, we can read it, we can communicate, and at the end we can understand it or not. I'm sure all of you have music that you understand and music that you don't understand. So I'll be doing that, I'll be comparing. Now, how do we learn a spoken language? Well, from the very first moment in our lives, from the point we are born, we have our family around us that talk amongst themselves. So we accidentally hear the sound of this language. Later on, we don't just accidentally hear it, but we listen to it. And then we try to imitate it. Right? We try to make sounds closer to what we hear. Generally with not success. Then the next step would be saying the first words, usually to refer to our parents, right? Or to our basic needs. Like if we are hungry or if we have to go to the bathroom, that's the first words that we pronounce. And later on, we go to school, we learn, we communicate with other kids. But during all this process, are we able to write down anything that we say? Or let me put it the other way. Can we speak or can we read anything that we are able to say? I think the answer is no. So the same situation we have in music. To my experience, my musical education began, so to speak, during my mother's pregnancy. She's a classical singer, and every time she had a concert, she had a rehearsal, or she had to practice a musical passage, I was there. And I'm sure, I don't remember, of course, but I'm sure that I could somehow listen to it. And mainly because she was not playing any instrument aside, it was her voice, right? So through the body, I'm sure I could somehow listen to it. Then during my childhood, I experimented a lot with some instruments like violin, guitar, piano, even drums, and tried to imitate the music that surrounded me. At that time, it was mainly classical music, the Beatles, which I listened to a lot during my childhood. So I tried to imitate it. And then, later on, I learned how to read music. I learned how to write down music. I learned why the things I was playing sounded good, so I learned harmony. Okay? So nowadays, I'm able to sit down at the piano and play something that not necessarily has been written before. I can play as well written music. So I think it's more like a balance we have to find. So Our educational system, concerning music mainly, usually they first show the letters, the words, the grammar of music, the notes, the rhythm, right? And then you play. So I think it's the other way around. It should be taught, the music, right? In art, when we talk about art, we have to give the student a wide variety of codes to approach in music in this case, right? So a wide variety of codes in music would be many ways to approach the same experience or different styles of music, and the more codes you give to the student, the more tools they have to develop their own language, which is the final point in any kind of art, right? The final point in art is to find our vocabulary, to find our style. So, and we have to keep in mind that kids usually lose their native creativity when they are 6 or 7 years old. And then you go to a conservatory and they don't admit students under age 5 or 6. So why that? No? What are we afraid of? They are in their most creative period of their lives. So we should take advantage of that. Now, at some point in my career, I had the opportunity to go to study to the Berklee College of Music in Boston, and I realized how they treat music in that country, which is a bit different how we do here. The first thing I realized is that every single elementary school, every high school, every university, every college have their own orchestra, their own ensembles, their own groups of music. And music is treated as the same level as medicine, law, architecture. Okay, let's say Harvard. Harvard, as an institution, has its School of Medicine, School of Law, School of whatever, and School of Music. Okay, so that students can really share all the different disciplines, and they realize that they're all at the same level. Okay, now, this is just really interesting because it creates a state of mind to respect the music and to be at the same level. And musicians don't study. In the States, musicians don't just study in an isolated places called conservatories, where just music is taught, anything else. Okay, so you don't really know if they are giving you tools to make your living on music, or it's just a hobby, or no, it's part of the whole thing. Okay? Now I know that the way to learn music I'm proposing, it's not easy. Sometimes it requires the environment of the family, and we don't usually find that. Okay, so usually there's not a lot of knowledge about music, generally speaking. So in order to fulfill these gaps, we should work in communities. Okay, so that music will continue shining in all its magnificence. Okay, and now to conclude my short intervention, and I would like to play a piece for you. It's a piece I composed some months ago, and it's called Not Yet. And in fact, I have the score here. Okay, you can see the tune. We have a principal melody. We have a harmonic skeleton, which will be the reference for us, for my good friend and great double bass player, Pau Terol. Please welcome him with a warm applause. So here I have the written music of the song and the harmonic skeleton that will guide us to improvise. So we will speak the language of music and the dialect of jazz. Okay, so we'll do it in the style of jazz. And I hope you like it. Thank you very much. Thank you.